Auggie and Me, the Julian chapter. First look. I'm not going to go into detail about the rest of what happened that day. I'm just going to point out that for the first time in his life, Jack had not exaggerated. In fact, he had done the opposite. Is there a word that means the opposite of exaggerated? Unexaggerated? I don't know. But Jack had totally not exaggerated about this kid's face. At first, the first look I got of August, well, it made me want to cover my eyes and run away screaming. Bam. I know that sounds mean, and I'm sorry about that, but it's the truth. And anyone who says that that's not their first reaction when seeing Auggie Pullman isn't being honest. Seriously. I totally would have walked out the door after I saw him, but I knew I would get in trouble if I did. So I just kept looking at Mr. Tushman, and I tried to listen to what he was saying. But all I heard was yak, 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 because my ears were burning. In my head, I was like, dude, 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 dude. I think I said that word 1,000 times to myself. I don't even know why. At some point, he introduced us to Auggie. Ah, I think I actually shook his hand. Triple ah. I wanted to zoom out of there so fast and wash my hand. But before I knew what was happening, we were headed out the door, down the hallway, and up the stairs. Dude, 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 dude. I caught Jack's eye as we were going up the stairs to homeroom. I opened my eyes really wide at him and mouthed the words, "No way." Jack mouthed back, "I told you." Scared. When I was about 5, I remember watching an episode of SpongeBob one night, and a commercial came on that totally freaked me out. It was a few days before Halloween. A lot of commercials came on during that time of year that were kind of scary, but this one was for a new teen thriller I'd never heard of before. Suddenly, while I was watching the commercial, a close-up of a zombie's face popped up on the screen. Well, it totally and completely terrified me. I mean, terrified me, like the kind of terrified where you actually run out of the room screaming with your arms in the air. Terrified! After that, I was so scared of seeing that zombie face again, I stopped watching any TV until Halloween was over and the movie was no longer playing in theaters. Seriously, I stopped watching TV completely. That's how scared I was. Not too long after that, I was on a play date with some kid whose name I don't even remember. And this kid was really into Harry Potter, so we started watching one of the Harry Potter movies. I'd never seen any of them before. Well, when I saw Voldemort's face for the first time, the same thing happened that had happened when the Halloween commercial came on. I started screaming hysterically, wailing like a total baby. It was so bad. The kid's mother couldn't calm me down, and she had to call my mother to come pick me up. My mom got really annoyed at the kid's mom for letting me watch that movie. So they ended up getting into an argument, and long story short, I never had another play date there again. But anyway, between the Halloween zombie commercial and Voldemort's noseless face, I was kind of a mess. Then, unfortunately, my dad took me to the movies around that same time. Again, I was only about 5, maybe 6 by now. It shouldn't have been an issue. The movie we went to see was rated G. Totally fine, not scary at all. But one of the trailers that came on was for Scary Fairy, a movie about demon fairies. I know, fairies are so lame. And when I look back, I can't believe I was so scared of this stuff. But I freaked out at this trailer. My dad had to take me out of the theater because, yet again, I couldn't stop crying. It was so embarrassing. Being scared of fairies? What's next? Flying ponies? Cabbage Patch dolls? Snowflakes? It was crazy. But there I was, shaking and screaming as I left the movie theater, hiding my face in my dad's coat. I'm sure there were 3-year-olds in the audience who were looking at me like I was the biggest loser. That's the thing about being scared, though. You can't control it. When you're scared, you're scared. And when you're scared, everything seems scarier than it ordinarily would be. Even things that aren't. Even Everything that scares you kind of mushes together to become big, terrifying feelings. It's like you're covered in this blanket of fear, and this blanket is made out of broken glass and dog poop and oozy pus and bloody zombie zits. I started having awful nightmares. Every night I'd wake up screaming. It got to the point where I was afraid to go to sleep because I didn't want to have another nightmare. So then I was sleeping in my parents' bed. I wish I could say this was just for a couple nights, but it went like this for 6 weeks. I wouldn't let them turn off the lights. I had a panic attack every time I started drifting off to sleep. I mean, my palms would literally start to sweat and my heart would start to race, and I'd start to cry and scream before going to bed. My parents took me to see a feelings doctor, which I only later realized was a child psychologist. Dr. Patel helped me a little bit. She said what I was experiencing were night terrors, and it did help me to talk about them with her. But I think what really got me over the nightmares were the Discovery Channel nature videos my mom brought home for me one day. Woohoo for those nature videos. Every night we'd pop one into the DVD player and I'd fall asleep to the sound of some guy with an English accent talking about the meerkats or koalas or jellyfish. Eventually I did get over the nightmares though. Everything went back to normal, but every once in a while I'd have what Mom would call a minor setback. Like for instance, I love Star Wars now. The very first time I saw Star Wars Episode 2, which was at a birthday sleepover when I was 8, I had to text my mom to come get me at 2 a.m. because I couldn't fall asleep. Every time I closed my eyes, Darth Sidious's face would pop up into my head. It took about 3 weeks of nature videos to get over that setback, and I stopped going to sleepovers for about a year after that too. Then when I was 9, I saw Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers for the first time, and the same thing happened to me again, though this time it only took me about a week to get over Gollum. By the time I turned 10 though, all those nightmares had gone pretty much away. Even the fear of having a nightmare was gone by then too. Like if I was at Henry's house and he would say, "Hey, let's watch a scary movie," my first reaction wasn't to think, "No, I might have a nightmare," which is what it used to be. My first reaction would be like, "Yeah, cool, where's the popcorn?" I finally started being able to see all the kids' kinds of movies again. I even started getting into zombie apocalypse stuff, and none of it ever bothered me. That nightmare stuff was all behind me, or at least I thought it was. But then, the night after I met Auggie Pullman, I started having nightmares again. I couldn't believe it. Just not passing bad dreams, but the full-blown, heart-pounding, wake-up screaming kind of nightmares I used to have when I was a little kid. Only I wasn't a little kid anymore. I was in the 5th grade, 11 years old. This wasn't supposed to be happening to me anymore. But there I was again, watching nature videos to help me fall asleep. Class picture. I tried to describe what Auggie looked like to my mom, but she didn't get it until the school pictures arrived in the mail. Up until then, she'd never really seen him. She'd been away on a business trip during the Thanksgiving Sharing Festival, so she didn't see him then. On Egyptian Museum Day, Augie's face had been covered with mummy gauze, and there hadn't been any after-school concerts yet. So the first time Mom saw Auggie and finally started understanding my nightmare situation was when she opened the large envelope with my class picture in it. It was actually kind of funny. I can tell you exactly how she reacted because I was watching her as she opened it. First, she excitedly slit open the top of the envelope with the letter opener. Then, she pulled out my individual portrait. She put her hand on her chest. "Oh, Julian, you look so handsome," she said. "I'm so glad you wore that tie Grandmere sent you." I was eating some ice cream at the kitchen table and just smiled and nodded at her. Then I watched her take out the class picture out of the envelope. In lower school, every class would get its own picture taken with its teacher, but in middle school, it's just one group picture with the entire 5th grade. So 60 kids standing in front of the entrance to the school, 15 kids in each row, 4 rows. I was in the back row between Amos and Henry. Mom was looking at the photo with a smile on her face. "Oh, there you are," she said when she spotted me. She continued looking at the picture with a smile on her face. "Oh my, look at how big Miles got," said Mom. "And that is Henry? He looks like he's getting a mustache, and who is—" And then she stopped talking. The smile on her face stayed frozen for a second or two, and then her face slowly transformed into a state of shock. She put the photo down and stared blankly in front of her. Then she looked at the photo again. She looked at me. She wasn't smiling. "This is the kid you've been talking about?" she asked me. Her voice had completely changed from the way it sounded moments before. "I told you," I answered. She looked at the picture again. "This isn't just a cleft palate." "No one ever said it was a cleft palate," I said to her. "Mr. Tushman never said that." "Yes, he did, on the phone that time." "No, Mom," I answered her. "What he said was facial issues, and you assumed that he meant a cleft palate, but he never actually said cleft palate." "I swear he said the boy had a cleft palate," she answered. "But this is so much worse than that." She looked stunned. She couldn't stop staring at the photo. "What exactly does he have? Is he developmentally delayed? He looks like he might be." "I don't think so," I said, shrugging. "Does he talk okay?" He kind of mumbles," I answered. "He's hard to understand sometimes." Mom put the picture down on the table and sat down. She started tapping her fingers on the table. "I'm trying to think of who his mother is," she said, shaking her head. "There are so many new parents in that school. I can't think of who it might be. Is she blonde?" "No, she has dark hair," I answered. "I see her at drop-off sometimes." "Does she look like the son?" "Oh, no, not at all," I said. I sat down next to her and picked up the picture, squinting at it so my eyes won't see it too closely. Auggie was in the front row, all the way to the left. "I told you, Mom, but you didn't believe me. But I told you." "It's not that I didn't believe you," she answered defensively. "I'm just kind of surprised. I didn't realize it was this severe." "Oh, I think I know who she is. His mom." "Is she pretty? Very pretty? Kind of exotic? Has dark wavy hair?" "What?" I said, shrugging. "I don't know. She's a mom." "I think I know who she is," answered Mom, nodding to herself. "I saw her on Parents' Night. Her husband is handsome, too." "I have no idea," I said, shaking my head. "Oh, those poor people." She put her hand over her heart. "Now you get why I've been having nightmares again?" I asked her. She ran her hands through my hair. "But are you still having nightmares?" she asked. "Yes, not every night like I did for the first month of school, but yeah," I said, throwing the picture down on the tabletop. "Why did he have to come to Beecher Prep anyway?" I looked at Mom, who didn't know what to say. She started putting the picture back into the envelope. "Don't even think of putting that in my school album, by the way," I said loudly. "You should just burn it or something." "Julian," she said. Then, out of the blue, I started crying. "Oh, my darling," said Mom. Kind of surprised, she hugged me. "I can't help it, Mom," I said through my tears. "I hate that I have to see him every day." That night, I had the same nightmare I've been having since the start of school. I'm walking down the main hallway, and all the kids are in front of their lockers, staring at me, whispering about me as I walk past them. I keep walking up the stairwell until I get to the bathroom. Then I look in the mirror. When I see myself, though, it's not me I'm seeing. It's Auggie. And then I scream.